I, 21 female, am currently going to college in the same town my sister, 27 female, and her family live in. We're about a 6-hour flight from my hometown where our parents and extended family live. We had all planned on flying back to our hometown for a few days. For some background, my brother-in-law, who I'll call Bill, is an alcoholic. Any kind of event where alcohol is provided or purchasable ends with him getting in fights and causing issues. He yells, throws things, and gets generally aggressive. My sister arrived at the airport before me, and when I arrived at the gate an hour and a half before boarding, he was nowhere to be found, and my sister was struggling to keep track of 3 small children and all their luggage. He didn't come check on them once in the entire hour and a half. I only saw him when he came staggering over to the waiting area when it was time to board. As soon as my sister started talking to him, he started to get loud and aggressive. I watched from the boarding line, different groups, as it escalated to the point where security confronted him. My sister waved me over and I got out of line. She told me that they weren't going to allow him to fly and that she needed help. I asked if I should take Bill's seat so I could sit next to one of the kids and not leave her alone on a long flight with all 3. She was confused and repeated that Bill couldn't fly with us. I asked if she was going to stay behind and sort his crap out, and she said yes. I told her that in that case I probably couldn't help her. Her kids are all still very young and would need her. My sister was still confused and then told me that she expected me to stay behind and help her deal with her husband and kids. I told her no. Travelling around the holidays is insane. There likely wouldn't be enough open seats for us to get a later flight, if Bill is even still going to be allowed to fly at all. I was excited to see our family, and her kids were not my responsibility. She got upset and told me that she didn't know what to do with her husband, and if he couldn't fly, or worse, she didn't know how she'd handle it. I told her it was not my problem. Bill isn't a child that needs supervision, and it's not her job to deal with him throwing a tantrum and getting in trouble with security, that we could just board the plane and leave him to face the consequences of his own actions. She said he's her responsibility. I told her that if she knows how he is when he drinks, and that if he was her responsibility, she should have done something to prevent this, and that the situation she was in was all on her. She chose to marry an alcoholic, not me. I wouldn't be missing my family gathering because her husband can't hold his liquor. I boarded the flight and she stayed behind. My family was happy I made it, but many of them called me insensitive for what I said, and my mom was particularly mad that I didn't stay and support my sister. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Have you heard anything from your sister as far as what happened after you left? Why should you give up your holiday because he's an alcoholic? In fact, why should your sister and Nibblings have to as well? Chances are he would have been arrested for disorderly conduct along with public intoxication, probably would have spent the night in jail, which probably would do him a bit of good, or placed somewhere until someone could come get him. For those calling you insensitive, ask them would they be refunding your ticket because of your brother-in-law's behaviour? Would they give up their holiday for a drunk man's shenanigans? Most likely the answer is going to be no. I don't get it why the sister didn't take her 3 children and simply abandon the man baby. She needs to stop enabling his behaviour. He intentionally got drunk, became belligerent, and screwed his own holiday over. She should have left him to handle the consequences. Maybe if he'd had to deal with the fallout instead of being babied by her, then he might rethink it for next time. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for not putting up with his crap. Sounds like he's her responsibility only because she's made it her responsibility. Realistically, what did she expect you to do? Be the free babysitter while she babies him through bail and getting him off the no-fly list? Why should you give up your holiday? For that matter, why should you and the kids? Not the idiot, but your sister is not that bright. Like she makes more kids with this loser and expects you to throw your money and time in air for this loser, basically. No, she needs to get rid of him. He will not get better. My husband was at work when my water broke. I packed up the car and drove 10 minutes to the hospital. My husband met me there and was supportive. I had a 17-hour labour. I didn't expect to feel nothing stomach down from the epidural. This is our first. Hours after the epidural, I started to have panic attacks from being nervous and not being able to feel my legs. It was 2 a.m, so I woke up my husband and asked him just to touch my feet. He did for a minute, which calmed me down, then he went back to sleep. About an hour later, I got nervous again and asked him to do the same thing. He got upset, told me to go to sleep, then immediately went back to sleep. I slept for about an hour, but the contractions started to come on stronger. I tried to adjust myself, but my leg fell off the bed. I didn't want to wake up my husband because he was already mad at me, and I didn't want to bug the nurses, so my leg dangled off the bed for about 40 minutes until the nurse came in for my heart rate being high. I tried to bend over to grab my leg, but I had a big pregnant belly in the way. At about 8 a.m, the doctors told me I was ready to deliver my baby. My husband was still asleep and wasn't very happy when I woke him up. He eventually became supportive. Since I couldn't move my legs, my husband held one leg for me and the nurse held the other. When I wasn't having a contraction, my husband's phone rang. I thought he'd decline the call, but instead he dropped my leg, walked to the corner of the room and answered it. Every nurse and doctor in the room looked at him and glared. He said, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm a little busy right now," and proceeded to talk for a few minutes, which felt a lot longer. I had another contraction while he was on the phone, so a second nurse rushed over from the other side to pick up the leg my husband dropped. After that contraction ended, my husband was off the phone and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll take back over," to the nurse. A few minutes later, we had our baby boy. Hours later, I told him how hurt I was, and he put it off to me being an emotional girl. I was emotional because I felt abandoned and like even during labour I was being put last. In the recovery room, the nurse made a comment about how she's never seen someone be so thoughtless while their kid was being born. Later, we were talking about the birth to my family. I brought up the issue of the phone. He laughed and said, "Hey, you got to answer when it rings." I said, "Not in the middle of your son being born." He looked at me weird, then changed the conversation. We fought about it a couple of times, and when I said you haven't apologised for how it made me feel, he said something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm sorry, are you happy now?" My husband wants to have a second kid, but I'm terrified of how I'll be treated in the delivery room. He tells me to get over it when I bring up this concern, or says, "How can I prove I'll be there if you don't give me the chance?" I'm terrified of how I'll be treated in the delivery room. That's easy, don't allow him in the delivery room. Pick someone, a friend, a family member, or a professional doula, someone who understands the assignment and you won't be afraid of waking if you need something. That is, if you decide to mix DNA for a second time with this loser. Honestly, this behaviour would make me question every life decision. And please learn how to advocate for yourself. Please ask for help if you need it. You shouldn't lie with one leg dragging and raising your heart rate, because you don't want to be a bother to those people whose purpose it is to make sure you're comfortable and safe. Not the idiot, and congrats on your son. He eventually became supportive. The chill that ran down my damn spine when I read this was like a blizzard in every vertebrae. What the ever-lucking heck is this? Eventually? No, times a quadrillion. The easy part is don't have a second child with a man that cares so little for OP. He has the emotional maturity of a stick. A stick would have propped up a leg better. A creamsicle would have propped up a leg better. I'd hate to see what caring for a newborn is like with this dude. If he's this fussed about his precious sleep now, he's in for a bad time. OP, you need to be leveraging your support system stat, because it sounds like you'll be going this mostly on your own. The uselessness of some people is beyond my comprehension. I, 18 female, just graduated from high school and I'm really excited about it. I've been planning a graduation party for a while and I've been looking forward to celebrating with my friends. I have a pretty close-knit group and I wanted the day to be special. The thing is, my mom, 39 female, and I have never really gotten along. It's not that I don't love her, I just find her actions and behaviour really frustrating sometimes. She can be very controlling and she has this habit of overshadowing me in big moments. I don't want that to happen at my graduation, so I made the decision to not invite her. The reason I'm even writing this is because of something that happened a year ago. My older sister, 24 female, graduated and my mom was extremely over the top. She basically made the entire graduation about her. She spent the whole day talking about how proud she was of herself for raising my sister and how much she helped with the whole graduation process. She even cried more during my sister's valedictorian speech than my sister did. At one point, she took the mic at the party and started talking about all the sacrifices she made as a mother, making it clear that my sister's accomplishments were a reflection of her, not my sister. It was embarrassing for everyone and my sister was visibly uncomfortable. After that, I told my mom I didn't want her to do anything like that at my graduation. I said I wanted it to be my day and I didn't want her to make it about her. She promised she'd be more mindful. But honestly, I just don't trust her anymore. I know she'll make the focus shift to herself if she's there, so I decided not to invite her at all. Instead, I told my dad, 43 male, and my stepmom, 42 female, that I wanted them to be there and they've been really supportive. My mom found out from my sister that she wasn't invited and she's been very upset about it. She thinks I'm being hurtful and punishing her for things she did years ago. She said that if I don't invite her, I'm basically saying I don't care about her and it's breaking her heart. I feel bad, but also I really don't want the drama. I want my graduation to be about me and my achievements, and I don't want to spend the day feeling like I'm not allowed to enjoy it because my mom's need for attention will take over. My friends are supportive of my decision, but my family is divided. Some think I'm being cruel, but others agree that my mom can be a bit much sometimes. So, am I the idiot for not inviting my mom to my graduation party because of what she did at my sister's? Not the idiot. Graduation is like your personal season finale. It's supposed to be about your achievements, not a guest star's comeback episode. If I don't invite her, I'm basically saying I don't care about her and it's breaking her heart. So she's still making it all about her again. Nope, stick to what you're doing and congrats. Tell her to throw her own party, since all she wants is a chance to tell everyone about her trophy kids and how their achievements wouldn't be possible without her. OP, if you haven't already, look up narcissism. I think you'll find a pretty accurate description of your mother's personality and behaviour. Graduating is a big deal, and I hope you can properly celebrate without her taking the limelight. At family dinner, my sister-in-law was bragging about how much money her daughter, a 21 female, makes as a gaming streamer, saying she makes almost $300,000 a year. She even showed me a picture of a new car her daughter just bought, and the license plate was clearly her username, so I, 25 female, looked it up and showed her the daughter's Twitch account that same moment. She was really surprised I was able to find it and said she'd never seen it before and that she doesn't know anything about this online streaming stuff. Since I'm a gamer too, I was very intrigued since that is a lot of money. I checked her Instagram account under the same username later the next day because her Twitch followers were very low for the money she claimed she was making. I suspected something else was going on, so I was curious. On her Instagram profile, I saw photos of her in her apartment, a link to her OnlyFans account, and her Venmo with her real name attached. It seemed obvious to me that this is probably where her money was coming from, and I became concerned about the safety risks of having so much personal information so easily accessible online. I thought it was important to bring this to my brother and his wife's attention because if she's making that much money, then it's possible someone might take too strong of an interest and she could have a potential stalker situation on her hands. When I brought it up, my brother's wife immediately became defensive and accused me of crossing a boundary just for looking at her daughter's public Instagram. She claimed I ruined their family day after, and she even escalated things by claiming I had some kind of nasty interest in her daughter, which I found both absurd and inappropriate. I didn't look any further other than noticing the pictures of her apartment and all of the links to her accounts. My brother, instead of calming things down, sided with her and said I crossed a line by even looking up her Instagram profile. I tried explaining that my intention was purely to alert them to a potential safety issue, something I thought they would appreciate, but the whole situation blew up. They turned the focus onto me, blaming me for overstepping boundaries for even looking at the public Instagram account, and rather than addressing the actual concern about their daughter's public presence and the risks it poses, they blamed me for ruining everything. I felt so bad for the daughter as the explosive way that my sister-in-law responded makes me think she went crazy on her too. I imagine she would have a heart-to-heart with her and ask her if she felt safe doing this or something along those lines. Everyone's an idiot except for the stepdaughter. Your brother and sister-in-law suck for blowing up. You suck for going detective mode on your niece and telling her parents instead of her. You didn't really violate any boundaries since her information is public, but your motivations for even looking into her in the first place don't pass the sniff test. Your motivations for telling her parents don't pass the sniff test either. If you were truly worried about her safety, you would have gone to the niece, not her parents. I don't get it. I watch a lot of gaming and streaming content, and if someone told me that someone related to me was making that kind of money doing that, I would look up their online presence too. Just looking at their public socials seems like a perfectly normal thing to do in response to hearing that. I would think that literally anyone would do the same thing and would think it was weird if someone had no curiosity about it at all. You find out that one of your relatives is incredibly successful doing something you have an interest in, and you're not even curious? That makes no sense. Why does everyone think this is so suspicious? Exactly, OP's not the idiot. Did everyone miss that this person has a username on her license plate? She wants people to look her up. She's not your brother's kid, so I understand why you didn't approach her directly. They're just mad they were lied to. She knew they wouldn't know what being a gamer is. She's an adult and is doing nothing wrong. although it's not safe to put her personal information out there. I, 34 female, often butt heads with my mom, 54 female. She's high-strung, high-maintenance and neurotic, while I'm the opposite. In the 2 weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, my sister, 35 female, and I asked our mom about her plans for the day. She said she wasn't sure and would get back to us, but she never did. The conversation came up a few more times and still no plans were made. So my fiancé, 35 male, and I decided to do Thanksgiving at his mom's house instead. We've been together almost 8 years, have 2 kids, and have done the last 2 Thanksgivings at his mom's because my mom never made plans. About 4 days before Thanksgiving, future mother-in-law asked if we had plans and we said no. I'd given up on hoping for dinner with my mom. My fiancé likes to cook turkey and offered to help his mom, so it worked out for everyone. The evening before Thanksgiving, while I was on break at work, my mom called. She asked what we were doing for Thanksgiving and I told her we were going to his mom's house. This set her off. She cried, made a scene on FaceTime, and accused us of not loving her, saying his mom was more important and that this would be the 3rd year in a row it was at her house. I tried to reassure her, reminding her that we tried to make plans earlier but she hung up on me. I spent most of my lunch break trying to comfort her, telling her we loved her just as much and that if she'd made plans sooner we would have gone there. I also said I'd still visit her with the kids but we wouldn't be hungry as we'd already eaten. That upset her more and she told me not to bother coming. She said she wasn't doing anything now and didn't want us there. Thanksgiving came and we had a great day with his family. I didn't go to my mom's or call her because she shuts off her phone when she's mad. The next day I saw she posted on Facebook saying she hoped everyone had a good Thanksgiving and that nobody called or showed up and she was hurt. Here's where I may be the idiot. I showed the post to my sister and we both got upset, her more than me. I posted a screenshot of our conversation on the post, pointing out how she told me not to come and shouldn't play the victim when it was her fault nobody came over. She deleted the post after realizing other family members were siding with us and I haven't heard from her since. So am I the idiot for ruining my mom's Thanksgiving? Not the idiot for going elsewhere when your mom refused to commit. Also not the idiot for ruining her Thanksgiving when you did no such thing. However, I spent most of my lunch break trying to comfort her, telling her we love her just as much and that if she'd made plans sooner, we would have gone there. You are the idiot for coddling her later tantrum and dramatics and for you apologizing for her own actions, or inactions. As for her woe is me post, she posted in public, you replied in public. Agree. Next time she pulls a bait and switch, don't spend your lunch break comforting her. Don't spend any time comforting her. Tell her if she wants you to have Thanksgiving at her house, she needs to invite you to Thanksgiving at her house when you ask about her plans for Thanksgiving.